I fell in love with my own mother, and she didn't reject me. I want you to give me a child, she said, her voice trembling as she stood in our living room, her eyes, my mother's eyes, pleading with me. You're the only one I trust, Daniel. I dropped the glass I'd been holding. It shattered on the hardwood floor, the sound sharp and final, like the crack in my reality. My wife, Sarah, was upstairs, oblivious, humming as she folded laundry. And here was my mother, Ellen, 62 years old, her silver hair catching the dim light, asking me to cross a line no son should ever face. My chest tightened, a scream trapped behind my ribs. What the hell are you saying? I managed my voice hoarse. She didn't back down. I'm not too old yet. Science says it's possible. I've never had a child of my own, Daniel. You're the closest thing I've got, and I want this. With you. The words didn't make sense then, and they barely do now as I sit here, months later, trying to piece together how it all unraveled. My name's Daniel. I'm 35, married to Sarah for 7 years, a quiet life built on routine and trust. My mother, Ellen, raised me alone after my father, her husband, died when I was 2. She never remarried, never had more kids. I was her world, she'd always said. But that night, standing amid the broken glass, I realized her world had shifted into something I couldn't recognize. Sarah came downstairs minutes later, her footsteps light. What happened? She asked, eyeing the mess. Clumsy, I muttered, grabbing a broom. Ellen forced a smile, brushing it off. Just a little accident, she said, but her gaze lingered on me, heavy with intent. That night, I couldn't sleep. Sarah's warmth beside me felt like a lie. My mother's words echoed, a sick loop in my head. A child. With me. It was madness, biological, ethical, emotional madness. Yet beneath the revulsion, a flicker of something else stirred. Curiosity? Duty? I shoved it down, disgusted with myself. Ellen didn't let it go. She started dropping by more often, her visits cloaking the tension in casual chatter. Sarah noticed. Your mom seems off, she said one evening, chopping carrots for dinner. Is something wrong? She's fine. I lie, my stomach twisting. I couldn't tell her. How do you say, my mother wants me to sleep with her? The absurdity would have broken us. Or so I thought. But the cracks were already there. Sarah and I had been trying for a baby for years. Tests, treatments, tears, nothing worked. She'd stopped talking about it, but I saw the ache in her eyes when we passed strollers in the park. Ellen knew it too. She'd been there through every failed cycle, holding Sarah's hand, comforting me. Was this her twisted way of fixing it? A week later, Ellen cornered me again. We were alone in her car, parked outside the hardware store. I've seen the doctors, she said, her voice low. I can still carry a child. Donor eggs, my womb. But I don't want a stranger's seed, Daniel. I want it to be you. My blood, your blood, our family. I gripped the door handle, my knuckles white. You're my mother. This isn't right. I know it's not normal, she snapped, her calm cracking. But normal left me decades ago. I gave up everything for you. Love, a life, a family. I'm not asking for romance. I'm asking for a legacy. Her words hit hard. Ellen had sacrificed for me. Nights working double shifts, no dates, no vacations. I'd always felt that debt, a quiet guilt I carried. Now she was cashing it in, and I hated her for it. Hated myself for hesitating. The idea festered. I catch myself staring at her, her strong hands, her familiar laugh, and feel a jolt of something I couldn't name. Not lust, not love, but a pull, primal and wrong. I'd shake it off, bury it in work, in Sarah's arms. But Ellen kept pushing, subtle but relentless. A touch on my arm, a whispered, think about it. Each time, the line blurred a little more. Sarah sensed a shift. You're distant, she said one night, her voice tight. We were in bed, the space between us cold. What's going on? Nothing, I said too quick. She turned away, and I lay there, drowning in guilt. I wanted to tell her, to confess the insanity, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, I let the silence grow. Then came the breaking point. Ellen showed up late one evening, frantic. "I found a clinic," she said, shoving papers at me. "Medical forms, consent waivers. They'll do it. No questions. Just say yes, Daniel." I stared at the papers, my hands shaking. "This is insane." "Sarah would." "Sarah doesn't need to know," she cut in. "Not yet. Not ever, if you want." The betrayal crystallized. I'd be lying to my wife, crossing a line with my mother, all for some warped sense of duty. But as I looked at Ellen, her desperation, her loneliness, I felt it. The weight of her life poured into mine. Could I give her this? Could I live with myself if I didn't? "I need time," I said, my voice barely audible. "You've had time," she pressed. "Say yes, or I'll find someone else." The threat jolted me. Someone else? A stranger in her bed? In our bloodline? The thought twisted something deep inside me. A possessiveness I didn't expect. "Fine," I whispered. "I'll do it." We planned it like a heist. Sarah was away for a weekend conference. Ellen came over, her demeanor clinical, detached. "No emotions," she said, setting ground rules. Just the act. But it wasn't that simple. In my bedroom, the one I shared with Sarah, the air was thick with shame. Ellen stood there, unbuttoning her blouse, and I froze. She was my mother, yes, but also a woman, vulnerable, human. My hands trembled as I touched her, my mind screaming to stop. Yeah, I didn't. It was quick, mechanical, but afterward, as she lay beside me, I felt it, a rush of something dark and intoxicating. Connection. Power. Betrayal. She left without a word. I scrubbed myself raw in the shower, but the stain wouldn't lift. When Sarah came home, I kissed her harder than usual, desperate to erase it. She smiled, oblivious, and I hated myself more. Weeks later, Ellen called. "It worked," she said, her voice flat. "I'm pregnant." I should have felt relief. Instead, dread settled in. Sarah noticed my mood, pressed me. "What's wrong?" she asked, her eyes searching mine. I cracked. "Mom's pregnant," I blurted. "It's mine." Her face went blank, then crumpled. "What?" she whispered, stepping back. "What did you do?" The truth spilled out, messy, ugly. She screamed, threw a lamp, "Call me a monster." "Your mother? How could you?" she sobbed, and I had no answer. She left that night, suitcase in hand, and I didn't stop her. Ellen, meanwhile, glowed. "We did it," she'd say, rubbing her belly. But her joy was a knife in my gut. I'd see her smile, feel a flicker of pride, my child, then drown in guilt. I'd fallen into something with her, a bond beyond reason. Not love, not lust, but a tether I couldn't cut. Sarah filed for divorce. Ellen moved closer, her presence constant. The baby, a boy, arrived, and when I held him, I saw myself in his tiny face. Ellen watched me, her eyes soft. "Thank you," she said, and I nodded numb. But the fallout lingered. Sarah's friends spread whispers, sick, twisted rumors. I lost my job, my reputation. Ellen didn't care. "We have each other," she'd say, but I felt alone, trapped in a choice I couldn't undo. Nights were the worst. I'd lie awake, replaying it all. Sarah's tears, Ellen's touch, the moment I said yes. I betrayed my wife, my morals, for a woman who'd shaped me, raised me, and she hadn't rejected me. She'd pulled me in deeper than I'd ever imagined. Now, I'm a father to my son, a son to his mother, and a ghost to the man I was. Ellen dotes on him, calls him ours. I play the part, but inside, I'm unraveling. I see Sarah in my dreams, forgiving me, but wake to Ellen's voice, her hand on my shoulder. I tell myself it was for her, for family, for legacy. but the truth gnaws at me. I wanted it too, in some sick, buried way. I fell into her, and she caught me. Now I'm left with a child, a broken marriage, and a question I can't answer. Was it love, or just the wreckage of trust? Redemption feels distant, but I chase it in every diaper change, every forced smile. Maybe one day, I'll forgive myself. Or maybe I'll just keep falling deeper into the mess I made, wondering where the sun ends and the man begins.